Hiring the right person for a job can sometimes feel like you're just guessing, trying to catch a lightning in a bottle. But what if I told you it's not about guesswork or some kind of gut feeling? It's actually a deliberate, strategic process that starts way before you even think about posting a job opening. And to really get our heads around this, we've got to look at a real-world example of a company that had to pretty much throw out the old rulebook.
So our story kicks off in Alabama at this incredible state-of-the-art Mercedes-Benz plant. Daimler wanted to do something pretty radical, run the entire factory with self-managing teams. Now think about that. This meant a worker's job could be completely different from one day to the next. And this created a massive, unprecedented hiring challenge.
And that brings up a really fascinating question, one that a ton of companies are wrestling with today. How in the world do you hire someone for a job when the duties themselves are a moving target? How do you even begin to define what you're looking for?
All right, so in this explainer, we're going to break down the answer piece by piece. We'll start with this modern hiring dilemma. Then look at a whole new way of thinking called talent management, get into the real nuts and bolts of a job analysis, clear up the difference between descriptions and specifications, and finally, we'll reveal the modern solution that companies like Daimler are using. It's all about focusing on competencies.
So let's dive right into this modern hiring dilemma. The challenge Daimler faced really highlights a key truth about today's workplace. Being adaptable is the new currency. It's everything.
The solution, then, requires a pretty fundamental shift in how we think. We have to move from seeing hiring as a rigid, step-by-step process to embracing a more holistic philosophy called talent management. For decades, and I mean decades, a lot of managers saw HR as a simple, linear checklist. You decide on a position, you recruit people, you select someone, you train them, and so on. Each step was treated like its own little silo. But this kind of checklist approach is just fundamentally flawed in the modern workplace.
This visual really says it all, doesn't it? The old way on the left is like a broken chain. It's fragmented, it's linear. But the new way, talent management, it's more like a dynamic set of gears. Every part is interconnected, and they're all working together to drive the company's big strategic goals. It's not a checklist, it's a strategic web.
So what does that actually mean? Well, talent management makes sure that every single HR action, from the words you use in a job posting all the way to the final paycheck, is intentionally aligned with the company's overall business strategy. Nothing happens in a vacuum, it's all connected.
So inside this new philosophy, the most fundamental tool you have is something called job analysis. I want you to think of it like the architectural blueprint for every single position in your company. It is absolutely where everything starts.
To put it simply, job analysis is the process you use to figure out exactly what a job involves and, just as critically, what kind of person has the right stuff to really succeed in it. It's basically an information gathering mission. And you can see why it's so important. Think of job analysis as the central hub of HR. The data you gather from it informs everything: who you recruit, how you measure someone's performance, how you decide on compensation, and what training people actually need. It really is the foundational cornerstone of the entire system. The process itself is a pretty methodical 6-step journey. You start with the why, like what are we going to use this info for? And then you move through research, analysis, and verification. And that final crucial step, number 6, is to develop the 2 key documents that are going to guide your entire hiring process.
All that hard work doing a job analysis leads to creating 2 things: a job description and a job specification. Trust me, these 2 documents become your guiding stars for the whole hiring process.
Here is the absolute simplest way to remember the difference. The job description is the what. What does this person actually do all day? And the job specification is the who. Who is the right kind of person to do it? One is all about the role, and the other is all about the person.
And you have to get specific. A good job description doesn't just say, sell things. No way. It gives you clear, measurable duties. Just like this example for a telesales rep. Achieve a quantitative goal. Conduct a specific number of interviews. That kind of clarity is everything.
Okay, so let's bring this all the way back to that factory in Alabama. For a job with no fixed, day-to-day duties, a traditional job description that just lists a bunch of specific tasks, well, it just won't work, right? And this is where the modern solution comes in. It's called competency-based job analysis. This approach basically flips the script. Instead of listing static tasks, you define the job by the dynamic abilities someone needs to succeed. The focus shifts from what they do to what they are capable of doing.
These are the measurable core competencies, things like communication, problem solving, or resilience.
Models like this one from the Society for Human Resource Management give you a really clear framework for this. You can see how they group individual skills into these broader competencies. So for an HR manager, you stop looking for someone who can just process paperwork, and you start looking for someone who demonstrates a high competency in relationship management or ethical practice. It's a way more powerful way to define a role.
And that right there was Daimler's breakthrough. They stopped hiring for a rigid list of tasks and started hiring for a flexible set of competencies, things like teamwork, problem solving, and continuous learning. The takeaway is simple, but it's really profound. In a world of constant change, you don't hire for the job that exists today. You hire for the person who can master the jobs of tomorrow.